Hello. Howdy. Lisa says hi, Beth.
Hi. Hi, Lisa. How's it going?
Going well. We're a Animal Crossing household, so we're multitasking. I don't know if you've like encountered Animal Crossing New Horizons yet.
No, what's that?
Found it. It's a game on the Nintendo Switch, and there's a lot of people. COVID, with people having to stay inside, a lot of people have found a way to like kill a lot of time by playing this game. Hours and hours and hours into developing a desert island with a bunch of animal villagers and kind of a fake economy, and it's involved.
And I'm sorry, but how do you have animal villagers? Like, do you decide I'm going to be a tiger?
No, well, you're a human, but
Okay.
everyone else on the island is an animal. So all the players are humans. So like you start off with like, just you, and then two animals are your like neighbors. In our case, on our island, it was like it's a koala and a squirrel. And they're anthropomorphic animals, like they have, the human traits and things like that with their animals. But then other animals, the more you develop your island, they move to your island and build houses. So our last two animals were like an eagle and a pig. But we also have a bear, a duck, a horse. I'm sure I'm skipping a dog. And then they have different personality types. So you have to like do things like you give them gifts, or you treat them nice, and sometimes they're cranky, some of them are just shy, some of them are incredibly perky. Like we have our squirrel is constantly patrolling the island to like get in cardio work. I don't know. It's insane. Yeah. It's nuts. But a lot of people are doing it because I think that if COVID hadn't happened, this game would probably have like a moderate level of interest and success, I guess, with other games in the Animal Crossing franchise. But this, now that people are like, they were inside, everybody went out and bought Nintendo Switches. And you can visit your friends' islands, right? Like you can sell resources, share resources. Yeah. It's an alternate reality island tropical situation.
With no viruses. I'm assuming that you don't have a virus on your island.
No, right. Zero viruses. Every Sunday, there's a little pig who comes and sells you turnips, so that the turnips work like what they call the stock market. So you buy turnips, and then the price of turnips throughout the week fluctuates, right? So you're trying to buy them low to sell them high, but the problem with the pig is they animate the pig to have like this kind of runny nose, and she sneezes. So whenever I buy my turnips, I run away from her, because I don't want her sneezing on me, like.
They do have masks you can wear, medical grade masks.
There are these hedgehogs who run the clothing store, and they put different items in the clothing store every day. So sometimes it's like medical grade masks in the clothing store. So the makers of this game are keeping aware of current events.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't know. I mean, yeah, you don't want to shut it all the way out. We adopted a kitten. Lisa,
Okay.
we adopted a kitten December 7th, I think it was. So She was 3 to 4 months old is what the shelter told us.
Okay.
So we did a bunch of deductive work, and today we think is her birthday.
Oh, all right.
One today. And she's
Nice.
just been such a blessing because she has like zero idea. I mean, virus, no virus. The cat.
Yeah. Pets have no clue.
Yeah.
In our neighborhood, we go out and walk around, and people are trying to stay distant. Like I live in Evanston, and Evanston doesn't really have it's not so densely packed that if you go out, there's just people on top of each other. Even if we went to the lakefront, there wouldn't be there'd be people there, but you could still stay away from folks at a decent rate, But when people are walking their dogs, the dogs are coming right up to you, and you can tell the humans are like, hey, so we want to be this, and the dog's like, let's go. We're going to meet some folks, It's hilarious.
It's brilliant. It's just so brilliant to be around clueless, happy creatures who just say,
Yeah.
hey,
They have no idea. They got no clue.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so were you kind of hoping that our baseball players would also be clueless, happy creatures who want to play?
Yeah. Yeah, and we were talking about this. So for this particular podcast, we haven't even thought about a name for it yet, but there's a lot of baseball to talk about even now, right?
Yeah.
I was just looking at the like ESPN baseball news kind of stuff, and I saw that there's a player named Matt Davidson. Matt Davidson, I think he signed with the Reds. He tested positive, right? But he already played in the opener, right? So we have our first player test positive during the season, right? And I have no clue. Like, they talked about other teams this guy played that he played for, but that's irrelevant. What really matters is he was basically around the team for the previous 2 weeks, right? And tested positive today or yesterday or something like that. So, like, now he has to quarantine for 14 days, and everyone else gets tested all over again. And they won't know how exposed they were, right? Unless they did great distancing, right? So, like, it's going to be a week before they know, right? And they still have to play these other teams. Me and my friends have been laughing about the very nature of baseball is a guy holds the ball, throws the ball to another guy, who catches it and has to throw it back to him. And then if said ball is thrown again and hit, there's a third guy who now has to get the ball and throw it somewhere, right? That's three people touching the ball right there. And a fourth person touching that ball just to get it out of play, right? So this is going to be real interesting, you know. Matt Davidson of the Reds.
We just gotta hope it hangs together, right? Because it's like this rolling cycle of risk.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, not just in one game, but, you know, with this guy now, I mean, in my world, I'd be like, okay, I want everybody to just sit down for 2 weeks. And let's see how things are after that, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Right.
But we can't do that. So
in baseball, they got to play somebody tomorrow, right? So, like, they can't just chill out.
Yeah.
And it's a 60-game season, so you can't – it's not even a thing where every 2 weeks they get a 1 week break, right? Like, you know what I mean? They couldn't do that. If baseball started in February, you could do a thing where it's like, okay, we're going to play for a couple of weeks and see how that goes. All right, we're going to take a week off. Then we're going to come back, you know? I think, honestly, the only problem with that is the temperature in February. But really, I think even the players would be like, I know I was in a groove, but pitchers would be like, I get a little rest, you know? If there were even a 3-day break, you know, every 2 weeks, you'd have situations in which you can kind of get a little bit of rest in there. But in a 60-game sprint, that's not going to happen.
Oh,
you know?
Yeah. So you said you packed your fantasy team with position players, and I said that I thought that the pitchers would be more reliable, and now I stand corrected. I admit my error.
Because guys are just having balls launched. Yeah.
I had not I'd forgotten about the ball. I'd forgotten about the ball. You know, and when that home run, that 460-foot home run, I went, oh, Terry.
Yeah, never thought of it. Well, part of it is also like the pitchers who I think may have success. I think the top line pitchers, right? The best, got like the Groms in the league and the Scherzers and the Garrett Coles. I don't think they're going to have much of a problem. But when you get to your third starter, your third, fourth, and fifth starter, those are the guys that are going to get killed, right? Because the hitters it's now almost August, right? These guys are good and warmed up at this point, right?
Yeah.
So while pitchers are still having to you got 5 days to figure it out, hitters are still swinging bats, you know? So I front-loaded my fantasy baseball team with hitters. It was, I looked yesterday, it was the 9th round before I drafted a pitcher. I waited as long as I possibly could before I I didn't want all the aces to be gone, but I just didn't want like a situation in which I was having to deal with, you know, like in other years, it's like I want two or three really good guys who are pitching right up top, because my league, they do things like you're getting points for quality starts, let's say, right? So you don't want a bunch of guys who can't go, you know, 7 innings without giving up 4 runs or something. You know, I just don't need that. You know, that's going to be a headache. But here, I just don't care, because I think it's going to be hard to get quality starts, right? No one's going to have any, you know, if you're not a top-line pitcher. But I absolutely know that 15 home runs might lead the league, right? So if that's the case, that's where I'm going here. You know?
Right, definitely.
I'm going to do that.
Definitely. Yeah. Okay, so who'd you draft first?
My first pick was Mike Trout.
Yeah.
Because it was a 10-team league, and we had I drafted 5th, and I figured, all right, I'm guaranteed some really great hitter with my first pick. I don't have a problem with that, right? I'm gonna go Mike Trout first, and then I think my second pick is also, I was fine with it. It was probably Aaron Judge. I believe Aaron Judge was my second pick, and actually, hold on, I think I emailed it to another friend of mine. So, and I did it in order. Okay. I could have had that ready.
No. Nah. We're chilling. This is not no. This is not journalism. This is not we're chilling. How do you get whoever you want? Because it's
I know what it was. I didn't draft Aaron Judge in the 6th round. My second pick was Javier Baez.
Oh wow. One of my faves.
I feel like Javier Baez, like I think of Javier Baez as like the best second baseman in baseball, but in doing a little research this morning, Javier Baez might be the most disrespected second baseman in baseball, because if you look at the power rankings of like where people believe, like, you know, like Fangraphs, right? Fangraphs has him rated like 9th or something like that, and I'm just like, no, I can't believe Marcus Semien is rated higher than, you know,
I can't
like
either.
Javier. That's weird. Like I don't like that at all.
Okay, so my guess on that, my guess is it's because last year Baez did goofy things. And
yeah.
So you're kind of like, okay, how focused is he, right?
Yes.
Because he goes out. That's also why he's beloved, right?
He's
fathers to entertain.
Because Javier Baez might be the goofiest player in Major League Baseball. Yeah.
He's up there. He's definitely up there.
He is among the goofiest damn dudes.
Yeah.
Like he's fun to watch, but who the hell knows?
What's gonna happen? Yeah. Remember last year when Beltre just like hugged somebody in between second and third when he was base running?
Yeah.
So Baez did that, but he did it like in a playoff game, I think.
Yeah. In a playoff game, he's like hugging people.
Yeah.
Like he's just. It's not as bad as like when Starlin Castro was on the Cubs. There'd be times when you could just see him staring off into the stands, right? Like during the game, it's like, bro, what are you doing, man? Like, what is happening here? He's not that bad, but he's just wacky.
Oh, he has focus issues, and I don't want to be mean to anybody, but I was a little bit disappointed that the Nats picked him up for second base, just because it's like, but he doesn't focus, you know.
Yeah, he doesn't.
I know.
And I think that the Nats' problem being you're trying to repeat, you're going to need some focus.
Yeah, definitely. And I was also like kind of excited because I thought, okay, 60-game season. Never seen it before, ever. Maybe this is the one chance that a standing champion can actually repeat.
I think it's possible. In my sort of thinking about how the playoffs might, like how people might finish, my concern is in the NL East, I have the Braves winning the division, but my Nationals thing comes down to now they lost Rendon. Yeah. Right? Like they lost a great third baseman for them.
Yeah.
And Juan Soto is out now because COVID issues, I think, right? So like you're starting the season off without your current best player. You've already lost your other two best players in 2 previous seasons. Like them repeating has everything to do with like people being healthy and their pitching holding up.
Well, yeah, because Strasburg didn't pitch yesterday. He got scratched from the start.
Right.
Yeah, and
you also don't have to do that thing with Strasburg where you're shutting him down in like late August and September, because now he can just pitch. Like that's great.
Yeah, and he can't because he's got some like nerve issue. Which hopefully, if I had a nerve issue, I could see a chiropractor and I'd be fine. You know? And hopefully that's what'll happen with him. You know, that it was just bad timing. I don't know what the scoop is on Kershaw.
He'll go see a guy and like they'll be like, just eat some bananas.
Yeah.
You need more potassium in your diet. Buddy.
Yeah, exactly. Bananas and walnuts. That's going to be.
That's pretty much it.
Diet. Yeah. So I don't know if he's starting today. I didn't look to see, but Fetty did great. I mean, I was blown away that the Nationals won yesterday. Just blown away. I'm blown away that they walked all over the Yankees. That blew me away.
And isn't this the funny thing about how it's set up, right? Like you're playing the teams that are geographically near you. Yep. So you're going to play your division plus the teams that are not in your division that are near you. So the Nationals are going to have to beat the Yankees.
Yes,
right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So is everybody.
So is everyone, yeah.
Because
you're going to find out you're playing the Yankees at some point, right?
Yeah. So now with the expanded playoffs, you are – okay, so in the playoffs, you would have been more likely to play teams that you had not played or only played like once, but you really wouldn't know them well.
Right.
And with the expanded playoffs, maybe that mitigates some of that problem, right?
Because
Yeah.
Everyone's going to make the playoffs, and everyone's played everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
More than likely. You're going to be meeting somebody in the playoffs that you have probably played before.
And everybody gets a trophy.
Yeah. If the Mariners make the playoffs, I did this kind of like, I have this wild idea in my head. The Mariners can be a wild card team. I have no idea why I believe this, but I always believe in my Mariners. But if they do make the playoffs, it is like a case where like a team like the Braves will not have played them, right? But like, that's okay. You can live with that, right? But like the Dodgers might have, right? The Padres, if they make it, they might have. So like in that case, like there won't be so much mystery to it, should you get that far.
Right, and which is a little bit advantage Mariners that they wouldn't ordinarily have, because they would have had to decipher some of Dodgers pitching, for example.
Yes.
In real time. Yeah, which is good. So I never did find out from you why it is that you love the Mariners. You're gonna have to explain that to me.
Well, when I was a kid, I wasn't super interested in sports because I was into comics, right? So like it was comics until I just noticed that like after 1 year, kind of like after school, the Cubs would be on, and I would just kind of try to watch a little bit. My friends had kind of drifted away from comics, and they were sort of like now getting into sports. So I was losing some of my comics nerd friends to sports. So I was like, okay, I'll try to watch a little bit of baseball. And what ended up happening was it was around the same time that Ken Griffey Jr. came into the league. And Ken Griffey Jr. comes into the league, and two things. One, he got to play with his dad in the same outfield. He got to play on the same team with his dad. And then the second thing was he got a candy bar. Right? Somewhere along the way, Ken Griffey Jr. got a candy bar, and he got to play. I never thought that was a thing that could happen. Where here's a kid coming up and he's so good, he's immediately practically in the big leagues, and I'm sitting on the bench next to his dad, who's currently playing, and I thought that was kind of cool. That was neat, right? And then he got a candy bar, and I was like, holy, this kid's so good, he's got a candy bar? I'm gonna go out and get that candy bar, right? And I followed Ken Griffey Jr. He became my favorite player. He was 5'2" stud Hall of Famer, like he did everything, and he was just so smooth. I became a baseball fan. He made me a baseball fan, and then I just kind of every year just watched what Ken Griffey Jr. did. And then during the prime of his career, I could just I'd be at work and I would just make bets with guys on who was gonna have a better year. And with work at work, it was the guys would always pick they always pick Juan Gonzalez or somebody, right? And I was like, Griffey versus Juan Gonzalez, let's go. And I would just make money, right? I kept winning bets, betting on Griffey. So Griffey was my guy, right? And that's what it was. So it became it was the Mariners for me because Griffey played for the Mariners. He's my favorite player. But then also the year that the Mariners played the Yankees in the playoffs, and it was that one series, it was where the Mariners lineup was just stacked. And the Yankees, everybody thought the Yankees were just going to roll through people. And the Mariners kicked the Yankees' butts. And I loved every bit of that, right? It was awesome. It was 95, right? And I loved that playoff series. And that cemented it, right? The Mariners were a great team to follow. Now, the problem then gets to be the Mariners are in a market where they're not trying to sign big contracts, and they're not drawing a lot of free agents up there. So you kind of have to catch the Mariners' good years, therefore become few and far between. But I don't care, right? Now I'm a fan. It doesn't make a difference. Somebody out there is a fan of the Marlins, no matter how the Marlins do, right?
Definitely, yeah. Yeah, 5,000 people regularly showed up to Marlins games. And so
yes.
That's 4,598 more fans than I have.
Absolutely, right? And I know that outside of Seattle, I have friends here in Chicago who are Mariners fans, but they've lived in Seattle, right? So that part makes sense. I don't know a lot of people who develop a love for a team like the Mariners who've never lived there. My wife, we've been to Seattle once, right? And it was our first anniversary, we picked a place to go that was still, we couldn't afford to leave the country. We went to Seattle because I've always wanted to go. I absolutely love that city.
Yeah.
I would love to retire to Seattle. Her, not so much. Because cold and rainy. She didn't really dig that.
No family.
Oh, right. We're further away from our families. It doesn't bother me one bit.
That'd be awesome, right?
It bothers her. She still wants to be near her family. But we have the internet as far as I'm concerned. I can Facebook with my mom. I have no problem living in a country away from pretty much anyone.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. You're just kind of this is where you live. You know what I mean?
Yep.
The internet makes it so you're not really far away from anybody. Like you're in Colorado, right? Like,
Right.
you know,
Right.
we have Zoom meetings.
Right.
You know?
So I can tell you why Colorado doesn't draw a lot of free agents, obviously, because the pitching it's too hard to pitch here.
Yeah.
And so if you want to have a stellar career, you don't want to try to have it at Coors Field.
Right.
But, you know, like aforementioned Seattle being such a great city, why is it that that's not a draw for free agents?
I largely think it's the sometimes when a team has a history of winning, then free agents want to go there because the team has a history of winning.
Okay.
When a team has a history of finishing third, you know, then it's kind of like, well, maybe not, right? Like if it's the only team that your agent can get you in front of, right? Then it becomes, well, yeah, I want to extend my career. I'll do a couple years there, you know. And currently, I think Seattle's general manager is a crazy guy.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Just makes moves. He just likes to make moves. I think he thinks he's a fantasy baseball player. He's like a wild fantasy baseball manager, or general manager who's just picking up guys and shuffling them around constantly, and it drives you nuts. I drafted Malik Smith this year because he's like capable of leading the league in stolen bases, but I have no real reason to play Malik Smith, right? Like he's not going to hit a bunch of home runs or anything. But I realized at some point nobody on my team is still bases.
Yeah, so you still put base stealing is what you're saying.
Yeah, like I can root for that, right?
Yeah.
I can root for base stealing. And Kyle Seager, I think every year I have Kyle Seager on my fantasy baseball team.
Yeah, and that's another plus for Javi Baez because he seems to like to try to steal bases.
Yeah, totally a plus for Javi Baez.
He's into that, yeah.
Having it rated lower than freaking Marcus Semien.
Fun, you know. Javi Baez is fun. I don't.
Yes.
Oh, if he's irresponsible, you know, I mean, there's got to be more guys. I was thinking about that this morning and yesterday and the last 2 years. There have got to be more guys that like to have fun. And
part of it also is Major League Baseball doesn't market its players specifically as fun and interesting players, right? Like a guy like Javier Baez and Mike Trout both ought to be like, you know, household names around, you know, the country.
Yes.
For the way they play baseball.
Yes.
Right? Like their baseball kind of leaves it up to these individual teams and cities and players to like get their players endorsements. You know what I mean? But market yourself not as like the Yankees are playing the Red Sox tonight and everyone should watch. Why not literally, why am I seeing like Aaron Judge is on my TV trying to convince me that I need to download some baseball app on my phone, but he's not on my TV like with his highlights, like showing me why baseball is the game to watch this dude hit.
Right,
you know?
right.
Anyone hitting 460-foot home runs, they should be like the face of the game, right? Like, show me this guy doing stuff. And it shouldn't matter that like Mike Trout, if Mike Trout played in New York, you know, like if he played in LA, but he plays for Anaheim. So it's like a tiny market team, but they treat it like it's a tiny market team.
So,
you know, like
what took Rendon to Anaheim? What do you think that was?
A fat contract and Joe Madden. Like I think that like somebody was willing to pay a lot of money when I think Major League Baseball has kind of tried to like they tried for so long not to pay someone $300 million, and they waited a long time before they. Like, I think all those owners are like, we're never gonna do it. And then Manny Machado got his $300 million, right?
Yeah.
And Bryce Harper got his $300 million. Then it became, well, I guess we're gonna sign somebody to large contracts, right? And that's what I think took him to Anaheim.
Yeah.
You know?
I think that my feeling, I don't know, that Rendon had like a lot of fat contracts to choose from.
Right.
And he's not gone to a place that has a really strong winning history.
Yep.
So I see Joe Madden as a draw because Rendon's got to have a taste for winning. I mean, I just can't believe that he doesn't want to win all the time.
Right.
So does he just want to be on the same team as Mike Trout? You know,
which who wouldn't?
Yeah.
He gets to be on Mike Trout's, like Albert Pujols gets like an Albert Pujols with a Mike Trout and the Anthony Rendon in the lineup. That could be a rejuvenated Pujols.
It could be, yeah.
And it's only 60 games. Like
that's right.
That's not bad. Like that's 9 or 10 home runs out of Pujols. He'll take it. Like when again, like I said, 15 to 18 might lead the league. This is great.
Yeah.
You know, no one's gonna hit 40 home runs in 60 games. So
that's right.
Like,
that's right.
In 1997, they might have.
Stanton might do it. We got to watch Stanton because he might actually do it. You know.
Yeah, and he was hurt. Wasn't he hurt most of last year?
And most of the year before.
Yeah. So like if he's healthy, I
Yeah.
want to call him Mike Stanton still.
I know, right? I
My
know.
brain still wants to say Mike Stanton.
Yeah. They just call
You
him
know?
Stanton. That seems easier.
Stanton.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just,
Oh, and the way he's been smiling. Oh my goodness, to see him smile. You know, that
Yeah.
I feel like we haven't seen enough of that at all since he was with
2 years of injuries. This dude's thrilled to be playing.
Yeah.
Everything looks like a beach ball when it's thrown up to him now.
Oh, I know.
You know?
And so if he can hold that together, which, isn't that hard over 60 games,
Yep.
there's something I had to do for like 5 years.
Yep.
I would fall off my perch a lot, right? But
Yep,
if I only had to do it for 2 months, boom,
Right.
I
Yeah.
think it can happen, right?
Not bad at all.
Yeah, not bad at all. So yeah, 40 home runs in 2 months. Wouldn't that be like too awesome?
That'd be crazy. I don't think it's gonna happen. But if anybody could do it, I think people in the Yankees lineup could do it.
Yeah. I remember saying to somebody like last week, I said, baseball's back. And this is how well they know me. They said, so who are you going to root for, the Mets or the Yankees?
They didn't even say Cardinals. Look at that.
Didn't even say Cardinals. They're just like, oh, Beth's from New York, which I'm not, but I live there, right? And so it's got to be Mets or Yankees. And I'm like, no, man. I mean, I'm like basically rooting for everybody. I want like everybody to come out of this looking so good that the whole map of what happens going forward changes, because now everybody will want to play everywhere.
I was even thinking that this might, because of the 60, because of COVID-19 and that long layoff, people might not even be as pissed off as the Astros, right? Like they might literally just want to get out there and play. Somebody's gonna chuck a ball at Alex Bregman because Alex Bregman makes you want to hate him, right? Like he has that face where he knows he's good, but he has that smug look about him. Yes, someone's gonna want to throw at Alex Bregman, right? But like people will just have to get over it. It's 60 games. Beat them. Just beat the Astros if you're gonna beat them,
And we're gonna
don't be mad about it.
Which is, I think we could forget. We could probably stand to forget the off season. This off season, we could, the Astros, the Red Sox. We just want to forget. It'll be great if that goes off into some kind of COVID haze, and Sam Miller with ESPN. I looked to see what his article was for this past week, and he wrote this great piece about how much we're going to miss booing people on opening day.
Yeah, right.
Oh, brilliant idea for a feature. And I thought, probably are going to miss the booing, because that kind of part of you that wants people to pay for what they did.
In this town, like we have like a rivalry between the Cubs and the Brewers now for the last couple of years, and you start off the season, Cubs Brewers, booing Ryan Braun is like a tradition in this town.
Yes.
Ryan Braun is a Bregman situation. He makes you want to hate him. Yeah. That was the guy who swore he didn't do any kind of like performance enhancing thing. Right. He was like, like he swore up and down about it, and then he, the guy, the lab just screwed the test up or whatever, and then they did another test and they did fail that one. It was like, Ryan Braun, dude, stop it, man. And I don't even care. Like I don't even care about the performance enhancing drugs. I never did. I never cared about it. But I just felt like if 50% of the hitters did it and 50% of the pitchers did it, right? Then to me, we now have an even playing field again, right? Exactly. And Major League Baseball didn't give a damn. So like, why are we making such a big deal about it?
The Players Association didn't give a damn. Nobody cared.
Nobody cared. Yeah. Nobody cared. So if nobody cares, I'm not gonna care. I get people want to be purists about the records. That's fine. But like, okay, be a purist about the records if you wanna. But honestly, right? Like once Stanton and Trout and like these guys. A judge like Pete Alonso can break that record. Yeah. Right? And all you just got to be is like, we get back to like big fat guys in Major League Baseball who can hit 60 home runs in a season. It can still be done without performance enhancing drugs. Yeah. They have great training. They eat better. They get sleep. It's not going to happen in 60 games, but like it's going to happen at some point. You're going to have somebody in the next 5 seasons who's going to break those records, and then we can stop worrying about it.
So not to pin anything on anybody, but watching the Nationals yesterday and to see Victor Robles, I didn't recognize him, and and I'm not saying he did anything because I don't have any way of knowing. It just, did he grow up? Yes. Did he have a different like workout regimen? It's like this guy is just, did he put on that man muscle they talk about? Because he put on the COVID 20, but he put on 20 pounds of the COVID muscle.
right? Like, the gyms were closed, but Victor Robles has like a WWE training center in his basement.
Totally. Because he just got scary, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, even his face changed. I swear he has a different shaped head. I wondered if he was actually still Victor Robles.
Well, and this is the thing too, right? Like, and if it turns out that Victor Robles, let's say hypothetically that he did something he shouldn't have done, if he's caught, how many games is it worth, right? Like,
right.
You're only playing 60 games,
right?
You can't afford like a 80 game suspension or something crazy like that,
right?
Like, that's the season.
Yeah, that's season plus. Yeah,
you don't want that.
So to back off Robles, just because we don't know,
right.
I think you're right. I think it was like some mega training that he had time to do.
Yes.
Nothing else to do. And it's the same where Stanton just like completely changed his body. The guy does not look like the same guy that we saw last year or the year before. And what's great about it is that he's aerodynamic, he's limber, he's really mobile, you know?
And there might be some motivation to do this too, to get like healthier and like focused when guys like Anthony Rendon lead your team, right? So when you find out that now they're going to be leaning on you a little more, because one of the stars of your team is gone, now you're in a position where, okay, maybe I better do some sit-ups.
Yeah.
I guess I got to keep driving past the McDonald's, you know?
Well, and then when they took Soto out, my first thought was now, I hope Eric Thames can hit. I thought, I hope Victor Robles is like gonna really deliver as a center fielder, right?
Yeah.
That's what I thought. Like, come on, Robles, you got to be the guy. You know,
and because Eric Thames can hit as long as you're throwing the fastballs.
Yeah.
Right? You're chucking fastballs up there. He's got you, right? But like Eric Thames has to be a dude who's gonna hit like off-speed stuff and breaking stuff and good curves and I don't know. Like, but you throw him a fastball, it's big meaty fastball time. I think he'll hit that.
Yeah.
Because on the Brewers, that's basically what he did, right? Like but late in the season, those numbers start to drop a little bit. But again, 60 games.
We're not going to have
like an MVP candidate.
It's going to feel like a weekend. Nobody's going to get tired. Everybody is going to be amazing till the end. So what do you think about, because I was shocked that Cody Bellinger decided after an MVP season to completely redo his batting methods, his batting stance, his batting techniques. Why would you have that kind of courage? Because I would not.
I think that the only way you have that kind of courage is if you're playing for the Dodgers. The Dodgers lineup is stacked, right? Mookie Betts is there now. Cody Bellinger can be like, I'm going to swing one-handed. Let's just see how that works. I'm just going to try it, right? Because what's he losing, right? I think mucking with your swing when you're an MVP is a bizarre-ass thing to do. But, if there's no hole in the lineup anywhere, I drafted Max Muncy on my team, right? Max Muncy playing second base. He qualifies at second base, and he's 35 home runs, right? Yeah. Like, he's a 35 home run second baseman. That dude's jacked, right? Yeah. And it's Cody Bellinger could be like, I'm gonna come up the bat and I'm gonna stand on a unicycle and I'm gonna swing, but I'm gonna be on a unicycle. I'm just gonna see how that works because he has nothing to lose. Yeah, he can tinker, because his lineup is amazing.
Oh man. You should be over there with Dave Roberts. You should be the bench coach. Crush the unicycle.
Why not?
Why not? Yeah.
I'm gonna take if it's a guy like Chris Bryant, who's had a little bit, like, he's a great player, and we can say Chris Bryant's had ups and downs, but they're relative, right? Like, Chris Bryant's ups and downs aren't the same as like somebody else's ups and downs, right?
Yeah.
If he's tinkering, it's like he's just trying to get it right, dial it in. You know what I mean? Right. I can see Chris Bryant doing that, right? I can see somebody like Rizzo. I can see Anthony Rizzo trying it. I can see Kyle Schwarber trying it. It's hard to imagine somebody like Cody Bellinger. I can't see Mookie Betts. I can't see Mookie Betts tinkering with what's already working unless you send him to a team in which there's 5 other Mookie Betts on the team. Yeah, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
That's why you can do it.
Yeah, that was even some fun. So people ask me Yankees or Mets, but then everybody's like, oh, that's right. You're going to be ready for the Dodgers this year, aren't you? Because I actually, went over, I crossed that New York-Boston line last year because I love Mookie Betts so much that I was even willing to watch the Red Sox.
Okay.
I think I wrote a poem about him.
Oh my God.
I know, right? That's how much I love Mookie Betts. It was something about Mookie everywhere, Mookie in his underwear. Because, you know, well, I heard an interview with him where he said he likes to wear like 3 sets of underwear in every game. Because he likes
Okay.
it as hot as possible while he's playing, you know? And I mean, I guess
I can't imagine it.
can't either.
What the hell?
In Boston.
I'm hot just sitting on my couch in front of the air conditioner. Like, I don't,
Right?
the hell I want to play baseball with 3 pair of underwear on.
I have no idea. I have no idea. But but I just love him, and that's why I had to write a poem about him. And he's so interesting because he plays so unbelievably well, and yet you see his face and you hear people talk to him, and he just seems thoughtful.
Yes, and he also looks like he weighs like 150 pounds.
Yeah, right.
Like,
Yeah,
every year I was doubting Mookie Betts just because I just look at the guy and like that guy, he just looks like a skinny outfielder. I mean, really, like Mookie Betts, and then the next thing you know, you just see the production is like, okay, nope, he can hit. He never stops hitting, and he plays the outfield.
And about the oh man, and can he throw? You know, right? It's not like he puts a lot of weight into his throw. He's just I don't know. He's just gifted. That's all there is to it. He knows how to use his gifts. Gifted. You know, and I don't mean he doesn't train because obviously he has to constantly.
Right.
You know, but what a beautiful gift! What a beautiful gift! You know, and oh man, okay, I want to get to something else, but first, the opening day game, Dodgers Giants, and you were talking about the Dodgers lineup being like totally stacked, and you know, so you have like. I think it's is it Betts and then Bellinger, or it's Bellinger and then Betts? I can't remember. I don't know if it matters.
They're interchangeable.
Yeah, but I think they were both on base, and Betts might have been all the way around to third, and then Corey Seager comes up and he strikes out, and that ends the inning. And my first thought was, what's the matter with Corey Seager? But then my second, you know, apparently there is something, because then next time these guys are up, which I think was 2 innings later, there they are again with Mookie on third and Bellinger's on second. I think
second,
it doesn't matter. But and I'm like, oh man, and now Corey Seager is going to come up, and they're all going to sit down again. But no, Justin Turner comes up, and Mookie had that great crossing the plate right under the ball, right? Oh man, it was so good.
Which probably means that now Dave Roberts is saying, hey, look, man, 2-strike approach, or like, you know what I mean? Like shorten up. We don't need you to, we can't win the season in one game, right?
Right.
So go ahead and hit a single, dude. You know, and I think this might be Corey Seager's problem even last year. Like, we know the power's there, right? But you don't have to be the MVP of this team now. Right. You know, you can now be the 4th or 5th guy because the team is stacked.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. You're fine.
I love to see Justin Turner playing so well year after year after year, because my nickname for him is Justin, I'm so glad I don't play for the Mets anymore, Turner.
That's true, right? That's absolutely true.
Yeah, that unleashed him to get out.
I think that he's like that. He's like that Northman dude from Game of Thrones, right? Every time I see him, Rick Tormund, I think is that guy's name. He just looks like that wild, kind of like caveman looking dude.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, maybe you need him on your animal island, right?
Yeah, right. Absolutely. Totally. That is what I think of when I see Justin Turner. I just think that guy's a Viking.
Oh,
you know?
No kidding.
Absolutely.
No kidding. Oh, and he's Eric the Red too, right? So he's he's total Norseman, yeah. So so Bryce Harper. So, you know, the whole idea of Rendon going to Anaheim, and then we've got Harper going to Philadelphia, I just had to take a triple take, and I still have not put that together. Why it was that Bryce Harper wanted to go.
Why Philadelphia, right? Like, unless somebody said, no, we are rebuilding the team, kind of, sort of, right? But we're not in a true rebuild. Here's 300 million reasons why you should just give us a couple years, right? Like, I kind of think that's what it was, right? Yeah. Because currently, like, McCutcheon's healthy, right? And Bryce Harper's there. Jake Arrieta's healthy. You know what I mean? Like, there are players on that team now where I think, like, the Mets and the Braves can be challenged a little bit by the Phillies.
Yeah.
I would have imagined, though, Bryce Harper would have wanted to go to a team in which he's literally just going to be in the playoffs every year. But Philadelphia's got to fight. And I'm not sure that even this year, like, now that every team makes the playoffs, right? Philadelphia wild card. I can see that. You know, then Bryce Harper used to be playoff Bryce Harper. But that was weird. Like, I was like, why in the world would you pick the Phillies of all places? Okay, glad you didn't pick the Yankees, right? But, like, the Phillies.
Yeah. I wonder if he thought about like personalities, because I wonder if he would have fit on the Yankees, because he is
Right.
a team-sized superstar. And
Yes.
how would he fit into the team culture with a place like the Yankees, where you're kind of all pinstripes, you're not names?
Absolutely. Take the names off.
Yeah,
Which is something that's always bothered me.
yeah.
Right. Like
I mean,
you gotta shave. You can't have a beard or a mustache or whatever.
and you have to memorize their uni numbers.
Yeah. The Yankees are that's a hard culture shift for me too. So I wouldn't have liked it.
Yeah, so
but it's like if you could play for the Phillies, you would have played for the Rangers. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You'd take $300 million from anybody.
Yeah, exactly. Or Anaheim. Isn't that
Anaheim.
amazing? Yeah. Way back in the day, I was such an Angels fan. You could not pry me away from an Angels game. And I'm saying way back in the day, but I'm thinking that was kind of like early to not. So I think they won the series in 2002, right?
Yeah.
And so it was a few years after that I started to really notice the Angels. So Socha was still, but they have both Benji and Jose Molina as primary and secondary catcher. And I'm working around.
You're a big fan of the Molina family.
Yeah, I love them, because you know how I am about Yachty. I mean, for me, it's reverse engineering. I love Yachty, and it's like, oh, he's got brothers?
He's got brothers, like 12 of them, and they're all catchers.
Right. And I love Benji, and then, and then Jose goes to, what was it, Tampa Bay, and he was great there. I mean, they're just great. But Yachty, there's like, unmatched to my mind. Even right now, we'll see how the season progresses.
Right.
But back in those days, and I remember having a talk with my brother. He was visiting here in Denver, and we're sitting over some nachos, and I said to him, my favorite second baseman shortstop combo in baseball is Kendrick and Ibar. I loved watching those two guys play together. I loved it. And even when the Yankees were facing him in I think it was the ALCS, like 2000, I don't know what, 10, I don't remember.
Yeah.
I was so rooting for the Angels, believe it or not, and made Steve watch games with me, because we went to Oregon. He had to listen on the radio, and I was driving, and he would tell me, pay attention to the road. And then
because you're not, because the Angels game is on?
Well,
are you an erratic driver if the baseball game is on?
I just kept talking to the radio, and it got him a little worried that I wasn't watching the road. I'm like, dude, I can do both. It's baseball. Come on, it doesn't take all your attention, And then watching it in the hotel room, and we watched that whole series, and I was bummed. I think the Angels lost. I think the Yankees ultimately won. But I just loved Kendrick and Ibar so much. I loved him so much.
That was a good combination.
And here it is, 2020, and I honestly cannot believe that Howie Kendrick is still playing.
Right.
I don't have any idea how he's doing that. I love
and playing well.
Yeah, and playing well. And I was so happy for him last year. I mean, I just wanted to sing and cry, because I was so happy for him last year that not only did he get a ring, but he got it, because he got it. And I mean, I know Rendon made a major contribution, and Strasburg and Scherzer were out of this world in adverse circumstances. But Howie Kendrick, man, I thought he should have been MVP of the series. I mean, okay for Strasburg, and I'm not upset, but I'm so happy to see him succeeding, and I'm happy to see him still there. And I'm hoping he with the 60 games, he can give to the Nats what he gave last year. And I love him, so. And he sure outlasted Ibar.
Howie Kendrick fan club.
Yeah, big time. And he sure outlasted Ibar. So,
he did.
But yeah, now he gets to
be. Like Ibar had like a long career, but Howie Kendrick had a really long career.
Yeah, no, he has had a really long career. Yeah. I mean, he's got to be 20 years in at this point.
At this point, yeah. It's hard to believe it, but there were a lot of years where it was just kind of like he was a guy playing every day, right? Yeah. His team wasn't winning necessarily, they weren't winning championships, but every year he was in the lineup every day.
Every day, every day. And he was
probably a
double
vegetarian.
plays. It was constantly, he and Ibar were just like double play machines.
Yeah.
So any Angels pitcher, they're just like, let me induce a ground ball over there, and those guys.
Why not?
Me,
yeah.
Right?
As long as they've got ground ball pitchers, they were solid. It's true.
Yeah. I loved them. It's like they were sharing brains,
Yep.
I just loved it. And I haven't seen anything quite like that. I haven't looked that hard, but I haven't seen anything quite like that,
In this town, it's like the Cubs have kind of had an issue with a solid second baseman.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because we don't have Addison Russell playing shortstop anymore, so Javi Baez is playing short. Yeah. And currently second base is like this kind of a rotational thing that has like Ian Happ sometimes and other guys sometimes, but that like once that is just nailed down, like
Yeah.
Javi Baez being in your infield makes your infield interesting to watch,
Oh,
right?
indeed. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that's like a here, but like and even on the south side, it's kind of a similar situation. Tim Anderson is a fantastic shortstop and great to watch. So like you're gonna have situations where you're gonna get to see fantastic infield play. You know,
That's why I wanted to ask you about the White Sox, because I enjoyed them so much last year. I watched them because somebody had made a casual comment about Yoan Moncada that made me say, well, what's the deal with Yoan Moncada? So
yeah,
I read about him and I'm like, oh, that's the deal. Well, let me see if he has a good year, right? So
yep.
so I'm watching the White Sox, which I used to do anyway. You remember in 2005, I was all like,
Yep.
White Sox.
White Sox, yeah, like a scrappy White Sox team. That like yeah.
I loved that team. So
Feel
here
like
I am watching him
having
again.
AJ Przinsky, who everyone hated unless he was on your team.
Yeah, everybody hated
The
him.
least likable guy in baseball.
Yeah. What was the deal with him anyway? You used to tell me that you knew why people hated him, but I didn't know why.
He's a jerk. Like he just was not a pleasant guy, right? And just grumpy. Like you know what I mean? Like so focused on winning that he can't make a friend, right? And during games, just making you mad. Like, but then he's on your team and everybody's like, oh, now he's our jackass. You know what I mean? Like, we love him when he's on our team.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. See, that was my belief, is that I liked the two best teams in baseball in 2005 because they had the two best catchers in baseball.
Okay.
In Molina and Przynski. And
that was, your Cardinals, yeah.
Yeah, you have a smart catcher, you have a team. Period.
Yep.
Capital.
Because your pitching staff's going to be better.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
they're just going to be better.
And they're going to plan a good game. And Przynski was like crazy. Wasn't he the one who personally single-handedly eliminated the Angels from the playoffs and
yes,
changed how we play baseball forever because he went ahead and ran to first after strike?
The drop third strike. If not for the drop third strike, the White Sox aren't even in the playoffs. Like, that's it.
Right.
They're eliminated. They're done. Right? He knew to run. He knew to run, and that was that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I can see where like everybody except a White Sox hated him because
every time I see someone drop a third strike, right? And then they start the half-ass run, I think to myself, run, you can get in the World Series, right? Every time a drop third strike happens. Just run.
I know. I mean, I didn't even know that rule. I did not know that rule. And they spent all this time after he did that talking about it. And I'm like, and they're like, wow, he's right.
Been a rule forever. Yeah. The only guy in the whole stadium aware of it was AJ Przynski.
Yeah. And not only did he have that trick in his back pocket because he knew that once he used it, now everybody knows it. So it has to be at a critical moment. He found this moment and he did it. I love him.
That's what got them in.
Yep.
That's totally what got them in. Like that did it right there.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man. So it was really it ended up being a lot of fun for me watching the White Sox last year. Even
and this year, so you got Yoan Moncada is basically like there's a lot of value in him because they got him in the Chris Sale trade. So like giving up Chris Sale is a big deal.
Yeah.
So this guy has to be great.
Yeah.
And in a lineup now that has like Yasmani Grandal in it, like Yasmani Grandal is a great catcher. Right. It's got like the big first baseman dude like who's been here forever. Who Jose Abreu.
Right? Oh yeah, right.
Tim Anderson. Yeah. Luis Robert has come up, and Luis Robert is like, you just love watching him play, just running all over the place. The dude's basically playing all three outfield positions by himself.
Yeah.
You know, like that's what he's basically out there doing.
Yeah.
You know, just he almost robbed a home run on opening day. I think it was the opening day over the last exhibition game. He nearly robbed a home run. But he reached over and caught the ball. He reached over the fence and caught the ball, but his whole glove went over the fence, right? So, like, he lost his entire glove and the ball over the fence by, like, climbing the wall and going up there and getting it. Yeah. But, like, that's just cool. This guy's going to be everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, the White Sox are going to be a fun team to watch.
I think so. I mean, I just really think the White Sox are going to be a blast. I think the Cubs are going to be good, too. I don't mean to say that. I mean to start your season with a complete game shutout and Kyle Hendricks of all people, you know, who I have like a fondness for because he was a Rocky, right? And And it's like you love to see Colorado Rockies pitchers go somewhere and succeed.
Yes.
You figure they've got some finesse.
Maybe the Rockies could like play in an indoor stadium where they just pump in enough air to like change the air pressure, right?
Yeah.
Like an airplane, like pressurize the stadium like they do on airplanes, so that pitchers can just pitch without sweating like the exit velocity.
Yeah, but the rest of us, we wouldn't be able to go to the games, because we got that high K factor in our blood, and we'd be sitting in there going, "We're dying. We have to go home."
Oh, that's true. Yeah, you've acclimated. Yeah. You've all acclimated. You'd have to go into some kind of airlock first. Then it just puts you in you have to spend like a half hour in some kind of pressurized environment.
Would that not make Colorado the coolest place to go to a baseball game, though?
Yeah. If let's say the stadium is pressurized, and to get the fans acclimated to it, you have to walk like a 4-block tunnel where the air is gradually getting heavier and heavier, right? So that you can be finally allowed into the stadium. You'd be the most space-age stadium in the league. This is what ought to happen.
And people would be like, "Well, we don't know if we want to do that." You say, "Well, but you can drink more," and they'd be, "Okay, I'm first in line."
Oh, is that a thing?
Well, it can be because at the altitude, people who fly in are very vulnerable to altitude sickness, and alcohol exacerbates it, right? And I have not considered this. Once you get your K factor in your blood up, you can drink same as anybody, right? But at least for visiting.
How long does that tend to take?
Oh, it depends on the person, but it can take up to 2 years. It can take 6 years. Yeah, but if or when you and Lisa come out here, and if we take a trip up in the mountains, we'll acclimate you slowly. We won't shove you up into the mountains.
I think that since COVID has started, the furthest I have my home to work 5 miles. That's the most traveling I've done.
That's all. No. I drove down to Trinidad, Colorado. That was that's about a 2 hour and 40 minute, 3 hours.
Okay, 3 hours
in that area.
I've never heard of Trinidad, Colorado.
I was trying to go to Texas. And this was in the middle of June. I tried to go to Texas, and I couldn't do it. I got as far as Trinidad. I was already exhausted. There just weren't a lot of places to stop along the way. The rest areas were closed. If I got out of the car, I had to put on gloves and a mask just to get some gas.
Why were you going to Texas?
I was going to Texas. Well, I grew up in Austin, and I wanted to go see my childhood home. And I really need to do that. I just have this need to do that. And so it's crazy because I looked on Google Maps, I took the street view and I kind of drove around my old neighborhood, and it hasn't changed.
Oh, wow. It's still the same. Okay.
Can you imagine that? Well, you can't because you live in Chicago, but here.
But I live I grew up on the south side of Chicago, and I live in Evanston now. So it's a distance of maybe 20 miles, right?
Yeah.
So and I've definitely I once put a pin on Google Maps where my childhood home was because I was trying to see if I could make it a landmark. If people were going through Google Maps as if I were a famous person, if they would see where my house was. I tried that for a while. My neighborhood it's a lot of it's the same, but there are some definite changes.
Really?
Yeah. So whenever when me and my wife would go visit my mom, let's say, right? She doesn't live in the apartment I grew up in, but sometimes to get to her house, I'll make us do the detour of going through my own neighborhood just to see it. And there's definitely some sameness. There's some stark differences, right? Over the last 20, 30 years or whatever, that are pretty shocking, right? Because it's Chicago with Chicago issues, But I love kind of going through it still just to see those changes.
Yeah.
But it's cool if your neighborhood hasn't changed,
It actually hasn't. I started my Google tour at my elementary school, and it hasn't changed. And if you can believe it, we're talking 50 years.
I lived in Houston when I was a kid, and I went and looked on Google Maps at my old elementary school there, and it does look exactly the same. That neighborhood looks exactly the same. And then one of my earliest memories is missing the school bus to take me home from school, and I just knew the route the bus took, and I decided I was just going to walk. And I was 7 years old, right? And I decided I was going to walk, and I didn't know how far it was. I just knew how the bus got there.
Yeah.
And I hadn't imagined that my mom was freaking out because I wasn't on the bus, right? And they were like, where's my kid, right? And they were like, I don't know, wasn't on the bus. So she calls the school, and the school was like, he's not here. And it's because I was walking. I just turned up, but I turned up not knowing that there's a faster kind of a straight line route. I took the route the bus went. because that's the only stuff I knew, right? So let me just keep going. And it must have taken me a good hour to walk home. But when I look at it now, it doesn't look like it was that far. But you're a 7-year-old with 7-year-old legs, right? You short legs.
Yeah.
You know? And I was easily distracted. So I'd walk along and I'd be, oh, this is a cool shop. Oh, look at that. That's a cool house. Oh, yeah, I know that house there. Look, I'm not moving with any kind of urgency. Like, I better get home. My mom's going to be worried. It's like, nah, I missed the bus. She's like, why didn't you go tell somebody you missed the bus? I said, well, the door was locked. You do that thing, you walk out of the school at a certain time, the door just locks. So all right, well, guess I'll walk.
Yeah.
I did. Yeah, that neighborhood still looks the same. So you got as far as Trinidad. Was it like you no place to stay even overnight to keep driving, or?
Oh, I almost couldn't find a place to stay, and I was really tired. I didn't leave Denver until 1, so it wasn't like I left here at 9 to 10 in the morning, and it was midday when I got there. I mean, I was really tired. Yeah, I left here at 1, and it actually took me until I'm going to say 6 o'clock to get there, and it's not that long a drive, but it's like every time you stopped, you had to look for a place to stop to have a bite to eat. Like the rest areas were closed. It was like really weird and crazy. And so I went to 4 or 5 different hotels and motels in Trinidad before I found one that had a room. And I guess it was like pitched tourist season, and it was exactly what everybody's been complaining about, where people they're kind of shut down and they have to wear masks and this and that, and they're feeling kind of just feeling kind of not free. Yeah. And so they go on vacation and they're in somebody else's state. It's like, well, not free, so all these people without masks, and you could tell they weren't from Trinidad, they were passing through, and that bothered me. But I mean, just.
Yeah, you get the hell out if that's the case. Yeah. Yeah. Now they're bringing their COVID to you. Yeah.
Yeah. I
just got their COVID up in a suitcase.
And I went to bed that night saying to myself, so I took this 85% bleach solution of cleaner. So I had to clean the room once I got in it. So that was tiring. The whole thing was tiring. And then I couldn't sleep. I took a sleeping bag and put it on the bed because I didn't know how clean the sheets were going to be. You just can't risk that stuff on somebody else. Yeah. I mean, I hate to say it, but you just can't. So I was too hot all night. And so I said, okay, then I'm just going to go all the way to Abilene tomorrow. That's a long drive. It's like 10-hour drive. I'm doing it, right? Until 4 in the morning when I finally told myself, okay, just go home. Just go home. You're tired.
You still hadn't gotten there. You got that,
hot. Yeah,
wow. Okay.
Made it 3 hours,
Yeah.
Just go home.
That's enough.
Then about 2 days after I got home was when all of a sudden the virus started increasing in all these states, and Texas had to start shutting back down. Yep. And I don't think I would have been caught in that, but there's a lag. I mean, I would have been infected in that if I were going to get infected, because there's a lag. So I was glad in the end I didn't go. And so it's really no place to go. And so thank goodness baseball's back. Steve said this morning that he thinks I'm one of those people who uses baseball to kind of tamp down all the anxiety that I feel, and
sure.
I do.
Why not, right? Something tamps it down.
Yeah.
Why not have it be baseball?
Well, especially, I mean, who is not clued into the anti-anxiety values of baseball? Right. It's exactly the same year after year. It is the most predictable thing ever. Right. I mean, I love Mookie Betts so much. I love him so much. He's like the meaning of life, because you can steal home almost. I almost expected him to, and that's close to what he did on opening night. I mean, stealing home, that to me is like the pinnacle of baseball.
That or the inside the park home run. You know what I mean? There's things that happen in baseball that are like, holy crap.
Yeah, that are so beautiful. Or stealing your way around the bases. Can't you see Mookie doing that?
Yeah.
I hope he would, because he's so sincere, but I could see Javi Baez trying to do that.
Yep.
I'm up for that. To me, these are pinnacle, but I am pretty sure that 20 years from now, I won't really remember Mookie Betts very well. I'll remember I loved him, but that's
because baseball is baseball. 20 years from now, Mookie Betts will be remembered as a baseball great, but there'll be some other player. 20 years ago, we didn't envision Mookie Betts, right?
Yeah.
20 years ago, Griffey would have been that guy.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You know what I mean? It would have been that. He would have been the Mookie Betts of his era.
Exactly. Oh,
and
he
other
was.
Players,
yeah.
There were other players at that point who were like, oh my God, we're never going to see this again. Barry Bonds, before Barry Bonds became the most unlikable player in baseball, he was must watch.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
Must watch. Barry Bonds, like would not swing at bad balls.
Right.
You know, you're going to throw him his pitch and he's going to hit it into the bay. Like, there are people in kayaks going to get his balls. Like,
Yeah.
that kind of thing, you didn't think you'd ever see anything like it again. But now, the displays that people are putting on just for, like, playing the game and doing amazing baseball things are just really cool.
They're really, really cool.
Beth, we've done it like almost an hour.
Yeah, we have.
So I'm gonna ask you for some predictions that you might have.
Right.
Yeah. So who do you have? What are your predictions, if you've thought about it, for MVP for the American League and National League?
Okay, MVP. Well, I think MVP is going to be more driven by playoff success this year than it ever has been. And so my MVP prediction would be dependent on my prediction for who makes the World Series, and I predict the Yankees in the World Series for the American League, and so I predict Giancarlo Stanton as my MVP.
Okay.
Which is awfully easy. That is so easy, and I'm sure I'll be wrong, but it's just obvious to me.
And who do you have for your NL MVP?
I want to see Cody Bellinger repeat. I know I love Mookie, but how cool would it be to be back-to-back MVPs?
So I picked, and I did this because I didn't pick like the like kind of like definite favorites for MVP in either case. I picked I thought to myself, this year you're probably going to have different people as MVP than generally thought of. I picked Alex Bregman in the AL.
Yeah.
Because even though he got smug, hate that guy face, right? He's a really good player, right? Who can prove that without banging on a garbage can, he can still be one of the best players in baseball easily.
Yeah.
Right? I think that I think that whatever the Astros went through last year, the year before, and personally, the Astros year of the years of finding ways to win that might have not been the most ethical, to me are fine because they didn't win the World Series 4 years in a row, right? So what is it? It's okay. What's it matter, right? Somebody beat those guys, even with whatever they were trying.
That's
so I picked Bregman in the AL, and I picked Bellinger in the NL. Cody Bellinger, I think, even with his unicycle batting practice, wacky tinkering around with what works, I think he's still going to end up, he's going to go 2 weeks doing that and just be like, screw it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I love it that we picked the same MVP for the NL.
For the NL. Well, who's your AL Cy Young and NL Cy Young?
Oh man, my AL Cy Young, it's going to have to be Garrett Cole.
Okay.
He was so chill. He was so chill on Thursday night, you know.
And your NL Cy Young?
My NL Cy Young. Oh man, that one's really, really hard. Because that's real. Dustin May, why not? Or Jacob deGrom. I'll go either way.
Okay, I picked Garrett Cole and Jacob deGrom. And it's hard because I don't like picking a Met for some reason. I just don't like picking a Met. I don't know why I feel that way, but Jacob deGrom is one of those guys that just strikes people out and does not give up runs, right? He just doesn't. He's allergic to giving up runs. So absolutely. But the Dustin May thing is interesting because that guy was available in my league, and I just picked him up. And I'm like, who is this guy? He came out of nowhere to become opening day starter, and he was still available. So I think that might make up for what might already be my biggest mistake of my fantasy season, and that I've already dropped Joey Votto.
Oh.
I dropped Joey Votto to pick up. I think I needed another pitcher, and I was like, okay, it was either Joey Votto or Teoscar Hernandez of the Toronto Blue Jays. And I thought, well, Teoscar Hernandez, I think he hit 25 home runs, and Votto only hit 17. So, maybe I'll go with the guy who has a little more upside with power. But I was an outfielder. But my problem was I looked up Joey Votto, and I looked at him. I thought, Joey Votto's been in the league forever. And he just has that, there's something about Joey Votto's face that told me this guy might be ready to retire, except that I wasn't thinking about how stacked the Cincinnati Reds are now.
Yes.
Right? And so now Joey Votto's come out of the gate red hot, and, I don't have a chance to pick him back up until, Tuesday, right? So it's already the first 3 days of the season. I'm like, oh, God, what did I do? Right? What was I thinking? It was Joey Votto for Alex Wood. That's what it was. I picked up Alex Wood.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, Dodgers pitching. I can't not have more Dodgers pitching on my team.
Well, Not a bad, because you need good pitchers. You already have a lot of good hitters. You have good hitters.
So that's what I was thinking. I might have jumped the gun on Joey Votto here.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping I don't regret it. I'm hoping everybody else in my league is like asleep at the wheel and they don't notice it. Now I think I want Joey Votto back.
Yeah, but you have to wait till Tuesday, and they're probably all
Because it's a waiver situation in baseball. You kind of have in fantasy baseball. You can't drop a guy and pick him right back up. You have to wait a couple days for other teams other players to be able to claim him if they want to. If they want to.
Yeah.
Hope nobody does.
We'll see. We'll see. So, all right. So I'm going to say probably DeGrom is a great pick for NL Cy Young, and this is going to seem like ridiculous, but it's his haircut that makes me believe that this is true.
Because the haircut did it.
Yeah, the haircut did it because it's like it says to me, okay, I've set myself free. I am not beholden to the fans or some kind of identity they put on me. I am Jacob DeGrom, and he's gonna like own the mound.
Was it Syndergaard had like the crazy hair that stuck out from under the hat?
Syndergaard had the crazy hair, yeah. But there was all this pressure because DeGrom had like this massive curls, He was so hot all the time.
Yeah.
But the fans were just they had nicknames for him and they had wigs and all of this. And he just didn't have the heart to cut his hair because of the fans. Then he cut his hair and now he's got the hairstyle that you see like every white guy on TV is wearing the same hair. So he's like ultra fashionable now. He's like Bryce Harper went off the rails, which is great.
Yes, because now Bryce Harper looks like he's been living on like one of those that what was that movie with Tom Hanks, Castaway?
Yeah,
Bryce Harper has his Castaway look now. Yeah.
Yeah, he does. So Bryce Harper's my pick for the NL batting champion.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
definitely. I can see that.
Yeah,
I can see that.
And I would go with Bregman for AL. No, is he NL now? I keep forgetting. Yeah, Astros AL.
The Astros are AL. Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Bregman for that because he's got so much to prove. Right, he's got so much to prove that
I haven't thought a lot about the batting title, but somehow I think in 60 games I'm gonna go Yelich.
Yeah.
In the NL because it's a short season, right? And
Yelich busted the Cubs video screen.
Man, Christian Yelich is confusing to me because it just seems like he's like that, at one point he was some skinny outfielder for the Marlins, and he just looks like a 12-year-old.
Yeah, he's
does. Like a 12-year-old in like a man's body.
Yeah,
and
it's true.
It's that thing about where Griffey would swing, he had a perfect swing, and there were no holes in it. And Yelich is kind of the same way. You may as well just walk the guy. Because if you don't walk the guy, he's hitting at 460 feet, and it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
He had a pitch the other day that I could still hear it in my head. Like with no fans in the stand, every pitch sounds like a rocket shot. They sound like cannons.
Yeah. It does. Yeah. It's kind of fun, but we should save fans for our next time because that's like an entire conversation all by itself.
Yep.
Yeah.
Next time we'll talk about like the impact of fans or no fans.
Yeah.
And I'll talk about my idea for what to do since there's no fans. I think there's a way to take advantage of this.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. I think we did good.
I think we did too.
Now we'll figure out a name for our podcast.
Okay.
And see what else we can do.
Okay.
For shared questions.
Oh, and then Lisa says we should have a place where we can store shared questions. Like a Google Drive doc or something.
Oh, okay.
Because I have that for my other podcast, and I'll set that up.
Okay, cool.
Cool. Awesome.
Okay, cool. Okay, so I will if I will attempt to manipulate the video or the audio or both, and I will let you know when I run into problems, which I will.
Okay.
But I think we want to post this tomorrow, right?
Well, whenever. It can be tomorrow, the next day. Take it. Don't rush it.
Okay.
At your pace.
A message to our listeners. This is raw and unfiltered. You've heard everything because I'm not going to do any trimming.
Right. So the beginning of our baseball podcast will be about Animal Crossing New Horizons.
It will be, and about my kitten's birthday. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes. You just got to deal with it, fans.
What's the internet about cats, right? So.
Yes. That's fair. Yeah. Cats started the internet.
Okay. So what do you think? Thursday?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Awesome.
Okay.
Fun.
All right. Thank you. See you later. Bye.
Bye.